Do we have coffee? Should we have coffee for this? Mostly I just want a prop, but I can hold this empty cup.
I think I have that. I have a LaCroix.
Ooh, I'm jealous. Can I have a LaCroix?
Yeah, I can get you a LaCroix. That'll be fast.
Yes. I have so many things I want to say. I don't know. Are you going to edit this before we do pillow talk? Just skip over this part. No, I'll save it. I'll just say it to you in a second. Do you edit these?
Yes.
Okay.
You see how I just recorded a lot of time of nothing?
I was talking to the camera during that, trying to figure out what I was going to say.
Oh, good. Well, we'll see what happens. It'll be nice to be surprised. The first time I heard you, that I really listened to a song of yours, was backstage at Summer in the City.
Would have been 2014.
14. And you were remarkably brave in that you were sit down, I want to play you my new song. And I guess I had a little bit of a sensation of, uh-oh. And this is how I feel whenever I ask anybody to read my book. Because I'm saying you have to now spend a bunch of it's even worse than listening to a song. And then but that's not the bad part isn't I have to read this frickin' book. It's what happens if you don't like it.
That's why I get so edgy about other friends' art, because I'm freaked out of what if I don't like it? What do I say? And
it's not like I don't. There are lots of things I don't like. Yeah. There are lots of songs I don't like. I've seen a lot of songs from people who I know who have made songs on YouTube that I'm not for me. It was a little bit terrifying for you to be situation. Let's put Hank on the spot. And if I don't like this song, what the frick am I going to say? Yeah. And then just being blown out of the water. So I think that's part of why you were able to do it, because you knew the song was good. I don't even remember what the song was. Do you remember what it was?
No. Oh. Might have been Broken Record. I don't know.
That makes sense.
I mean, that was early days, and I am historically really bad at knowing what song's going to be one that stays with people. Right. So it definitely wasn't Make Me a Robot, which is the one people like from that record. And it definitely wasn't Sorry I'm Not Sorry.
Yeah. Your path as a musician, where were you at that point?
I made that first record, Maybe Trap Mostly Troubled, summer of 2013. I always loved music and I always loved performing, but I just didn't realize that songwriting was going to be an option for me. I'd never written a song growing up.
Right.
And I never played an instrument growing up. The spring of 2013, my friend left his guitar in my car and then moved and then wouldn't tell me his new address. And I was I want to send you your guitar back. It's such a shame no one's playing this. I loved music, And then I was I guess I could play it. He's obviously not going to... Either I sell it or I play it. Those are the two options.
Did you ever find this person again?
Nope.
Are they okay?
They are okay. I have friends who are in touch with them. Yeah, I started writing songs, and I knew someone who did music, Seth Ernest, my producer, and I was I'm really simplifying this story, but I started writing songs, and I was connected with him.
And you were I'm just going to learn some chords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was well, why not try and write some songs? And I started writing, and then we started working on the album sort of in Seth's off hours. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the summer, we had an album. 2014, fast forward a year, the album's been out. It's interesting. It's on one hand, I held that I really knew that I loved it, and I loved music, and it's what I wanted to do. And I was absolutely too terrified to say that out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And
sure.
It took me 2 years of already having an album out to be... brave enough to be no, I do want to do this because I come from a YouTube background, and you can sort of be quick to be dismissed, I think. Yeah. And I did see that a little bit. My fans were very loving and very supportive, but
yeah,
for sure, just being afraid of what if I'm being foolish, or what if I have tricked myself into thinking this is a good idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a big fear of being foolish.
Right. You're clearly not taking this as sort of a side project.
No, not anymore. Now I'm this is what I do now.
That is manifesting itself in, I think, the quality of the songwriting, in the production of the album, in the production of the music videos, in the sort of visual identity of the whole thing, but also in terms of money, I assume.
Yeah.
I know that you're not sitting on top of a big well of Scrooge McDuck cash.
Oh no.
But I do know that this process is expensive.
So expensive. So what's been really cool is that I took last year off from making videos because I sort of had a tough year. I went through a breakup, went through a lot of things, and I just felt like I don't know what I could possibly say online. I have no perspective on any of these things I'm working through. But songwriting is such a beautiful way to work through that. And I took the year to write and work on music. Finished the album, was not very online for a year, and I was like, great, now I have this awesome album. I want to get it out to as many ears as possible.
But you've not been making YouTube videos, so how are you making money at all?
So I did 2 tours that year.
Okay.
Is that right? Maybe I just did 1 tour. I did 1 tour. Sort of the way my income has worked for a long time is that I'll get like a big chunk of money from like one thing, and then I'll make that last several months. Spring comes, I want to get the album out. I know that that's going to take like marketing, PR, strategy, many things that I don't have access to or the money for. So
and also things that like people don't think of as part of the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's weird how, like, realizing how much in any of this, how much of that non-music part goes into the music.
So much. Yeah. I asked my fans, like, hey, I'm relaunching Patreon. Here's what I want to do. I need money to do it. And it's been pretty amazing. But yeah, my Patreon's awesome. I think the first month I brought in $8,000, and then second month $7,000, third month $6,000. One of the tiers is only a one-time reward, so people drop down after that. And yeah, I'm not sitting on any of it. I'm very much living month to month because it all just goes right back into paying people to try to get the album out
we were
there.
hanging out at VidCon, and I was like, do you want to go to Disney tomorrow? And you were like, yes. Well, you didn't say yes. You said no.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? And you were like, well, I can't.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can buy you a ticket to Disney if you so we got to go to Disney
That
together.
was so sweet. So wonderful. It's true because although I could have maybe made that work, I couldn't have gone and both enjoyed that expense because it's like, could this money be used in a wiser way?
The most wise way for me to use that money was to get to hang out at Disney with you.
Yay!
Can we talk a little bit about Crush and how that's gone?
Yeah.
I want to start out talking about the music video because I think that's such a big part of the release, and also like a very capturing that song visually. It's done so effectively, but also like it was done in a way that like clearly says to me, this isn't a low budget music video.
Ah, great. I'm glad it appears that way.
Where did you rent a supermarket?
Oh my. Okay, so it's been. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. I have such a great team of creative people around me. So we filmed in that supermarket from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So it's at night. All the people you see in the background are extras. Isaac White from Big First Pictures, he pitched me the idea of what if we film in a grocery store, and I was like, I've always wanted to film in a grocery store, but it's seemingly impossible to find a grocery store that will let you film there. But he lives out in St. Louis, and he had a employee who used to work at a grocery store.
Okay.
So
it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
And they let you get on the refrigerators.
I'm actually not sure if Isaac asked if we could do that.
Yeah.
But it was nighttime. And
no one was there to complain about it.
Yes. There was someone who was watching over us, but they were very cool, this is great.
This is such an interesting shot to me.
Because I look so tired?
Because you look like...
a person?
Yes.
Yep.
Because you look like a person.
Yeah.
And you look like a person through this entire video.
Yeah.
You're not dolled up. You're not wearing fancy, sexy clothes. That is an interesting choice to me, and I want you to talk about it.
Yeah, you're the first person to ask about that, although not the first person to comment about how tired I look. This opening shot was actually the very last thing we shot.
So you're just very tired. I've been dancing around a supermarket for 8 hours, and it's 6 a.m.
Yeah, but it's not that. I mean, genetically, I don't know if you can see in this lighting, but I have very dark circles, always very aware of, have gone through phases of feeling very self-conscious about it. You know, when we shoot, I'll always ask Isaac if I can see the footage back because I want to see myself and see could I have done something better? Do I look awkward? Is my hair weird? You know, whatever. And we watch these 2 clips back, and immediately I can see my under eye circles are on display. I do look tired. You know, I saw it and I thought I can either ask to change these lights, reshoot it so I don't look that way. But I just felt you know what, that's what I look like. And I
also feel like it says to me, it's a level of confidence in the music almost. And also a little bit of take the polish off a little bit. Like, we don't need everything to be super polished.
Yeah.
And also there's a bit of that in the song itself, where I can tell that it's extremely carefully produced. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, who's the name of your producer? This is so good.
Yeah.
But in the way that the noises, the throat clearings, and the text like those moments are so good to me, because they seem very intentional, but they're like an added polish that kind of takes away a little bit of the glamour and the glimmer.
Yeah, I mean, my hope with this album, and honestly with everything I do, is that I really want it to be something I'm making for myself, not something I'm making to get some kind of validation. I don't want to shoot for a target of, you talk about this a little bit in your book. Okay.
You're allowed to talk about my book.
So good, you guys. I'm like mad that I'm the only one I know who's read it, because there's no one I can talk about it with. But I haven't finished it yet, so we're going to talk about it a little bit later. This idea of, if you can hit this target, you can be like, get a radio hit, be some sort of famous pop star, some sort of famous artist.
And also, I think that in like the people who, PR people, marketing people who think about this know that like it's all about like getting all the things that you have to add up to be big enough, and only part of that is how good the thing is. Like, only part of that is how good the song is, and then there's like, who do you know, and what do you look like, and what foundation are you building upon with regard to previous work?
Yeah.
And how is that considered by the broader music industry, and like all that stuff.
Totally. There's a lot in there, but I will say
books,
that
books are the same way. And if you can build up to be higher than everything else, then you're freaking Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But nobody gets to be Harry Potter, and so everybody sort of fights to build the bigger stack.
Yes. And within that, like, I'll also say that everyone also says, regardless, like, there's many elements that are very important, but the most important thing is that the art is good.
That is true. Absolutely. Like, it doesn't matter how big your stack is if the song is bad.
Exactly. There's no conversation to be had if the book or the song is no good. Anyway, going into the song, going into this video, going into like looking the way that I look in that shot. And like, I'd like to maybe credit Megan Tonjes a little bit for this. She talks a lot about how it's just such a shame to live your life feeling shame around something that is many ways out of your control, about how you look. I didn't pick to have dark circles. I don't know. It was a very deliberate choice. It really felt like a moment where I saw that, and the first thing I saw when I saw it was this feeling of shame and embarrassment.
Right.
Like, oh, people are gonna see.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm not just what I look like. This is the emotion I wanted to have in that shot. Yeah. And that's what I look like, and I like it. I think it's a moment of who I was in that moment. And
like the comments over and over again are just like
cool editing.
And also like everybody loves it so much.
I know, it's weird.
Talk about the level of success.
I mean, it's my most viewed YouTube video right now. Yeah, I mean, I feel super happy, super excited. It's fun that a song that I felt like was really cool and really fun, it's fun to have people affirm that and be like, I think it's cool and fun too.
So back in the day when I first found out who you were, it was probably 2008 maybe, and I found out about you and Mitchell Davis and maybe a few other sort of
in that circle
people in that circle at the same time, and was like, oh my god, there are people who are making YouTube videos who I didn't even know they existed, and they already have big audiences. And that was sort of the first time that had ever happened to me. Now, of course, it happens to me every day.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about where YouTube's at, generally? Coming from that like sort of early time where there were these moments of like really feeling like we kind of all knew what was going on, and we were watching each other, in various levels of success, to it being such a big, diverse thing now.
If I can remove my ego from it, I feel really kind of like it's exciting that something that was so niche and so like just such a small people has now become such a part of like pop culture. Like
Right.
people know what YouTube is now,
yeah.
and they know that people do YouTube.
And they can
videos
like
full
name
time.
YouTubers.
Yes.
Like, everybody can name a YouTuber, even if it's maybe not the one that we'd prefer they want named.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard Rosianna talk about how the internet and social media is neither. It's really easy to build a narrative that it's like this bad thing or that it's a super good thing. And she's talked about how it's a tool, and a tool used in the wrong context is bad. And a tool used in the right context is great. And where I think YouTube is really good and really special is that it provides people an opportunity to connect with other people going through shared experience when maybe you're living in a place like at your school or you're young where you're not having much connection. So it can be a lifeline to community.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful.
Did it feel like that for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a really, I got into YouTube right after high school, and I was super, super lonely and felt very isolated. And YouTube was a way to connect with people and like be yourself and explore like who you were and like who you were as a creative. And I'm really glad that was there for me. At the same time, I think at some point it became a crutch and an excuse not to invest in maybe relationships that were available to me in the real world, quote unquote. I want to be careful about that language because I don't want to make YouTube or internet relations sound less real, because they're very real.
So, I mean, there's a long period of time between 2008 when you were making YouTube videos starting to get views, and then 2013 when you were starting to make music. Were those good times?
I think that's a hard time in many people's lives.
Sure,
sort
yeah.
of becoming an adult is hard. And I definitely think it was hard to do that in the public eye, even though it was our own microcosm. And like definitely some of the lowest parts of my life were in those 5 years. Absolutely. And then at the same time, it was very cool to be at the beginning of something. And I think to understand, I feel like I understood very quick that I'm like, this is going to be something. And people are like, both as a career, I felt like I understood really fast people were going to make money off of this, but also that it was going to be a cultural phenomenon and a part of the mainstream. I did not anticipate it being a mainstream, I think, in the way that it's become, but
Sure.
it's cool to know, like, for both of us, like, we're a part of that story, and that's neat. Do you feel that way?
I absolutely feel that way. I've been thinking about that ever since the beginning. I was like, it would be really cool to be part of the dawn of TV.
Yeah.
But like, we kind of are.
Yeah.
We get to exert a little bit of that influence and also mourn it as it changes.
Yeah.
And also celebrate it as it changes, but know that it's never gonna be the same thing for long.
Yeah. And to be okay with that.
Oh yeah. Well, not always.
Not always.
Sometimes I am frustrated by it. Like what okay means. Like obviously I'm not trying to like steer that ship. Yeah. It's far too big for that. But I can be frustrated sometimes.
Yeah. That's fair. I guess I tend to come into that wanting to be like, I'm okay with change because I really want to believe that about myself. And I like the idea that now, because it's more out there, more people who maybe it just wouldn't have crossed paths because it randomly didn't cross paths, like it's like, oh, this is a cool thing I can do. It is strange now that maybe this isn't fair. This is only just a kind of an idea I had the other day, and maybe this was someone else's idea and I'm just repeating it. I'm not sure. It's interesting now that not everybody, but there is sort of a part of YouTube where the people who are very popular on YouTube, are also the people who are very popular at their high school, unrelated to YouTube. And this social media thing has now allowed like just the same thing that would have happened to also happen on a much larger scale. I don't know if that's good or bad or anything, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, what it seems like to me, to put that in a slightly different way, is that it was once on YouTube, it was kind of all like just the outcasts.
Yeah.
And now it's everyone.
Yeah.
And so, of course, the most popular people are going to be the popular people.
Yeah.
But you also have, in the same way that like you can't say like, what do you think about music?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is you can't say that about YouTube anymore because
Yeah.
it has that many genres, it has that many
Yes.
kinds of people. We tend to like take the most popular thing and define the platform based on that. But that would be silly to say like who's the most popular artist in music right now and say that like all music is Drake. You know.
It's amazing how many times I have the conversation with strangers where people are like, what kind of music are you into? And I'm into a lot of music, but I'm always also pretty quick to say like I like pop music because I do, and because people are so quick to dismiss it, so I want to be like, no, pop music's cool. And then a lot of people say to me like oh, I just like that it never talks about anything, and I'm like, that's not actually an accurate reflection of pop music
really
at all right now.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, there are certainly some pop songs that don't, like, Call Me Maybe isn't about that much.
Yeah. And there's a lot of,
there's a lot of love songs, but there's a lot of pop music that's about a lot of things.
I know. But it's that, I don't know. And then, who knows? I think people feel maybe cooler or more when you're critiquing something. So.
Well, also, I think it's important for culture to have pressures toward people enjoying things that are not as mainstream, because that allows for a greater creative diversity, and then you get like otherwise everything stagnates, and also only one person gets rich. So
I can't wait to talk about your book. Movie stopped.
Oh,
just now. I just saw it happen.
Okay.
Did you get the ADD? It rocks.
Yeah, I don't know why that happens. It doesn't happen regularly. It just
Excuse me.
But I was about done anyway, so we'll just have a gap of no video there for a second. Because it's Hank's channel, and who cares?
I like Hank's channel.
I love Hank's channel.
I think lots of people like Hank's channel.
Oh, I'm not saying people don't care about it. I'm saying people don't care about the quality of the video.
I see.
I'm not trying to make the best possible video on this channel. That's the point, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to put content here.
Yeah, it's nice to have a place to play.
I'm kind of busy.
This feels like a place to play. I have so much to say about your book. It's I'm like Hank, I have so much to talk about.